Yeah, I think maybe we have around 40 people who have already joined us, and we can get the session started and then keep on going as more people join in. And good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining this interesting session on how do you transform from a practitioner to an entrepreneur. Basically, the idea for this session started from one of Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy's blog posts. So I am a fan of his posts and blogs, and I'm sure many of you also. These are very small, nice post which Mr. Dharmendra sir keeps sharing. And one of his posts was about working in the business and on the business. So I learned this concept quite some time back when there is an interesting book called The Entrepreneurial Myth by Michael Grieber. So where he talks what is the difference between working in the business and working on the business. And Mr. Satapathy sir posted a small blog on that, and then he also said I liked it, and we had some discussion. Then he said, why don't we do an online session on this particular topic of transitioning from an entrepreneur to the practitioner. And so that's how the whole session came into being. And thank you all for joining today. So basically, I'm sure we all know most of us are practitioners. So practitioner meaning doctors who have their own clinics, or we kind of have our own hospitals. Sometimes we are also employed part-time, and then we have a clinic. So basically, once we start a practice, we think, or generally our thinking is that we have become an entrepreneur, basically many times. But what is the difference is, though we start our practice, we are still a self-employed person. Rather than being employed in somebody else's clinic, we kind of get employed in our own practices. So that is called working in the business, like Mr. Satapathy sir's blog also said. And how do you transform yourself? Majority of the times, as doctors, we kind of live our life being a self-employed person. And then how do we transform ourselves from being the practitioner to the entrepreneur? That requires a lot of mindset change. And we thought just to initiate your brains as to what are all the things which an entrepreneur needs, and what are all the thinking of an entrepreneur. So that the whole idea of the session is to get us thinking on those lines. So, and we have two excellent speakers along with me today. Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy sir is not a doctor, but he is a mechanical engineer by profession, and he also is an MBA, and then he runs his own company called Next Level Education, which is into training people on finance aspects. And he is a very interesting content creator. Basically, I understood that, see, the previous century or previous decade was about people who created platforms, basically Ola, Oyo, and Uber. All these are platform creators who made these billion-dollar unicorns. But what I see now is the transformation from the next billion-dollar enterprises might become, individuals can even become a billion-dollar enterprise. It's not that the platform. See, like there is I don't know if you've seen this person on YouTube called Mr. Beast. So he has this content, so many videos. Mr. Beast is already valued at more than $1 billion. So there can be individuals who can become corporations, and most of the time, I think this is going to be the decade of artificial intelligence plus content creators. So if you create content, you as a single man also you can create a $1 billion enterprise, because we were very surprised when WhatsApp was a 50% company, was valued at multiple $1 billion when it was acquired by Facebook. Now I think there are even individuals who are being valued at $1 billion. Most of them you see on the YouTube. Mostly your children keep watching them, Mr. Beast, and then there are many people on the YouTube who have a valuation of more than $1 billion. And Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy sir. I like him because he is also creating good content. I think the content creation definitely will create a lot of value for us, one form of entrepreneurship. So basically, so he advises a lot of professionals on financial aspects, and also how do you skill to scale? Because basically we are skilled, but how do we use our skill to scale up? That is the whole idea of the concept we are going to talk today. And basically, then we have Dr. Kumaresh, who is also anesthetist, who has now become a finance management person, finance person, and transformed fully from a clinical practice into a anesthetist to the finance management person. So basically, and I'm sure you also know about me. Basically, I'm an ophthalmologist who has converted myself into an entrepreneur now, not too much dependent on the clinical practice. So we will be sharing our stories. I think it is more of sharing our stories, and also presentation by each of us, and we can have a discussion once we finish the session. And welcome to and chip in between. If you have any questions, any doubts, please chip in. And the idea of the session is we want to kind of incorporate a few concepts into your mind. Basically, few of these business concepts, which if you can kind of understand and employ in your day-to-day practices, I think can lead to the transformation of mindset into from a clinician to an entrepreneur. Because even the most successful doctors whom you see are not pure clinicians. If you take the example of Pratap Reddy of Apollo Hospitals, he is more now an entrepreneur than the clinician. So basically, the more and more we get specialized, I think our chances of becoming the entrepreneur also reduces, which is a myth. Which we think that if we become more specialized, we can be more successful. But actually, the most successful doctors are maybe general practitioners. The most successful ophthalmologists are general ophthalmologists, and not highly skilled neuro-ophthalmology or retina specialists. So these are the kind of concepts which we want to drive into your mind. And a small word of caution, please don't mistake that we are not trying to kind of devalue the medical profession or anything by comparing it with other businesses, but just to drive our mind in that way. So basically, that's you might hear a few concepts which might make you think that, oh, what am I doing? But I think the truth also has to be told whenever it needs to be told. And so I welcome Mr. Dharmendra Satapathy sir to go on with this presentation, and then we can have a small discussion. Then we can have my presentation. Then we can have Dr. Kumaresh presentation. So in between, if any of you want to have a comment, you can have a comment, or we can have Mr. Dharmendra sir to talk. Over to you, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. And again, thank you for joining this session on a Sunday evening. India has just won the match against England. So I think it's a time to rejoice also. And so that we have a good mood also for the session. Its idea is to keep it light-hearted. On a Sunday evening, we don't want to bore you with theories and concepts. So what we have done is we have basically, we are talking about our own lives, a small story about what we have done. And in this journey, you'll learn a lot of concepts which will be relevant. While my journey also has been of a practitioner. I used to be a trainer, and I used to train in various across India. I used to travel and I used to train. That was my experience as a practitioner. Before that, I was an employee, head of marketing of Tata Mutual Fund. Before that, I was working in the advertising industry. So let me just start my presentation and run you through this journey and the learnings. So as Dr. Senthil said in the beginning, this is not a prescription. So it is for you to listen and pick up the concepts that may matter to you. It's not that, there's only one right thing or one wrong thing. There are multiple right things. So Nobody is right, nobody is wrong. There is no diktat, no prescription, and definitely not undermining any other profession. Everybody, every profession is extremely, extremely valuable. But there is something I wanted to share with you. And so we have three stories today, mine, Dr. Senthil's and Dr. Kumaresh's. And there'll be a lot to learn from this. Each one of us will take about half an hour's time. And we will spend the last half an hour on question Q&A. So I'll just my journey has been that I passed my mechanical engineering. I worked for SKF Bearings first. Then I had did my MBA in marketing, and I served the advertising industry for almost 13 years. After which I became the head of marketing at Tata Mutual Fund. At this point, after working for 10 years with Tata Mutual Fund, I decided that I'll be on my own, and I wanted to be a businessman. Now, at that point in time, I started a company called Next Level Education. But for all practical purposes, it was a company, but I operated as a single trainer. The only difference was that the invoice was being raised in the name of a company, but there weren't too many employees or anything like that. It was me traveling from one city to a different city and reaching out to a lot of people, and that is how I trained a lot of people. So that is when I first left a job. So I did not want to have a boss. I wanted to be my own boss. So got freedom of a practitioner. So that is when I became a practitioner, but I kept thinking that I'm a businessman. Okay, so this is something that I have gone through, and I almost did training for 6 to 7 years. Okay, and alone, I was traveling almost 15 days every month, and traveling from one city to the other city doing training. Of course, I didn't have a boss, and I always believed that I am doing business. Okay, so and although it was a training company, but I was operating as an individual. The I called the company Next Level. It was a private limited company, and I will tell you that it helped me a lot at a later stage. This simple decision. So training. You stopped recording. You stopped the recording, Dr. Senthil. Starting it again.
Please continue, sir. Please continue. No problem, sir.
Okay. So then, after that, having done a training as a single trainer for several years, that is almost 6. Because I had a company and it was called Next Level Education, I could attract another person who had talent, who had ideas, who wanted a partner. So that is when I first realized that because I had a company and it was called Next Level Education, I could attract somebody from the outside world. Okay, from not my ecosystem, but from somebody I don't even know. But that kind of a person got attracted, and we became partners. The reason we became partners is I had a company. Had I been training in my personal name, that moment also wouldn't have come in my life. And from then onwards, we actually when my partner joined me, we designed a course which was all about what is a businessman, what are systems, what are processes, and how you get going. So our program that we constructed was exactly what I learned at that particular point in my life. So we built a program meant for practitioners to tell them the difference between practice and business. Till then, I was thinking I'm a businessman. So while I was designing the program with my partner, I realized that I am a practitioner and I'm not a businessman. And I was under the wrong notion that I've been a businessman. Okay, and thereafter, things like a business purpose, a business mission, a vision, all these things started becoming relevant for me, and I'll explain these things to you. And also, what happened gradually as my business started growing, I started turning invisible for a lot of activities that I would be doing. So today, we run a training company, and almost 95% of the training is not done by me. Maybe I do 5% of the trainings. Occasionally, I come and talk. Otherwise, I am not doing training. Imagine I was doing training for almost 7, 8 years as a single trainer, and now I just do about 5% of the training. The rest is done by different trainers under the umbrella of my company. Okay, so today we have gone one step further because I could become invisible over here. I could start two, three other companies. So today we have multiple companies, one in training, one in wealth management, one is a platform, and my role is more of a leader's role. I'll explain to you this also, what I mean by this as we go ahead. So this has been my story so far, and what are the learnings that I wish to share with you today is what will. So what are the lessons that I have learned and which I wish to share with you? One is on active income and passive income. So this is something that I learned very late in my life. Despite being an MBA working for a corporate, I was not really understanding the power or the real meaning behind active income and passive income. And essence of scaling up, what it means and how important scaling up is, and leadership, what really leadership means. I'll cover these points today. You learn in the next half an hour some of these very important concepts. And then third point is why the team is the fuel for scaling up, why you need a team to scale up. And fourth is the power of leverage, what leverage actually means. So leverage, basically, you say Archimedes had said that you give him a very long lever which rests on a pivot, and if the lever is very, very long, he can actually lift the whole earth. That is the power of lever. So a person who has a very long legs and he moves the same amount, but he moves a lot ahead and a lot faster. That is again because of long levers. So leverage is very important a concept. In business, actually, leverage is the most important concept. If we understand leverage, we understand the difference between skill and scale and between practice and business. So let's understand what's active income. So active income is something, obviously, we all know. I play a role, I work somewhere, I sell my time, I sell my skill, and I earn because of that. So every time, like as a doctor, you meet a patient, you cure a patient, you earn from the patient. Next day, again, you will meet somebody else, you'll cure somebody else, you'll earn from him. So as a trainer, I would train, I would make a fee, I would charge a fee. I would train the next day, I would charge a fee. The next week, I'll charge a fee. So it's a transaction, the transaction of my time and my skill for income. So this is the basic core of skill of active income. So what are the characteristics of active income? Let's go through that. One is active income is purely skill based, and also it's your time. Second thing is, if you are focusing on skill, then you have to compete. That's the third point. It's competitive, and that one-upmanship is very, very important. That means I need to be better than the other person. I need to be the best trainer. I need to be the best trainer of, let's say, my industry, my city, my state, maybe the best trainer in India. And if you compare this with doctors, that happens. I'm the best doctor. I'm the best cardiologist of the city, or I'm the best cardiologist of the country. So these kind of one-upmanship becomes very, very important. Being the best matters a lot. So you need to always improve your skills and somehow communicate that very clearly, that you have the competitive edge. Okay, the advantage of this is you get immediate rewards. The moment I should do a presentation, I would be rewarded. So you get immediate rewards. So that instant gratification is always there. Then second thing is, you are more in control because it is connected with the amount of work. So let's say you decide to see 20 patients a day, you'll earn more. You decide to see 10 patients a day, you'll earn less. So you can control that. You are in control because this act of skill is correlated to the amount of work you want to give. You don't want to work more, you want to work more, you can earn more. You want to work less, you'll earn less. It's under control. Then is utilization of skills. So if I have worked for 15 years, 20 years studying, and if I have got this skill because of a lot of hard work, that I have put in, I can utilize my skills. Okay, so many times we have put hard work. It's like we don't want to lose that the efforts that have gone behind the hard work, the investment that has gone behind that hard work, and we are happy that we are using our hard work, our education, and we are applying it in the area, and we are utilizing, so we feel happy about it. So it is utilization of skills. Okay, there is a security because it's the power of that skill resides within you. So there's a lot of security, a lot of independence because of that. It is very tangible. Like I do a training, I get paid. I do a training, so it's very tangible. And the more you are using your skill, the more you are using your skill, your personal development gets enhanced. So you become a more skillful person, more confident person, and you feel happy about yourself. Everything is very good about active income. And if you see in our country, most of us, we have grown up with our parents also earning active income, and that has come to us. We have learned it from them. And when we studied in school, when we studied in college, I think the only income we knew was active income. It was always about going out and getting a job and earning a salary, or doing a practice and earning from the practice. So we grew up only understanding one concept of active income. And this is what we've lived with most of our lives. But but while the active income has its advantages, it also has limitations, such as time constraints and the potential of burnout. So when you work very hard, you're earning a lot of money, but you may become unhappy. When you work very hard and you're selling your skills, okay, there is a possibility that you start tiring off after some time, and also you don't have time, because every time there is a particular case, you have to be in front of the patient. If there is a training that had to be done, I had to do the training. So once I had a bad back problem, okay, and I had a training the very next day in Goa, and I live in Mumbai. I actually I had no choice. I couldn't cancel it. I had to travel in a wheelchair, okay, at the airport from when I was to board the aircraft, and again wheelchair to deboard at Goa. And I did my presentation sitting in a chair. Now there was no choice. I couldn't put anybody else on the job. I had to do it. So this is the problem that you have in active income. Now let's come to understand passive income. So what happens in passive income is, here it is a ecosystem that you build that earns money. So it's like a company you create, you hire people, then there are a lot of people who are well trained. There is a particular brand under which you operate. You may be a shareholder, a founder, or the director of that company. Okay, and it all starts with what are the advantages of passive income? Basic concept of passive income is you keep earning whether you work or not. Even if you are going on a holiday, you continue to earn. Okay, so basically it is all about subscribers, repeat buyers. Okay, the moment you are in a business with a repeat buyer, there are subscribers, and whether you are there or not, they are buying the services of a company that you create. Okay, that is when you start earning passive income. Okay, when you talk about loyalty club, you're creating customers who will keep buying your services again and again, again and again. With one, the first level is they buy it from you, but it's still not, it is still active in that case, excepting that you don't have to run after new clients. It comes automatically. But if you are not in that place and there is somebody, your employee is there, your partner is there, somebody who represents your brand is there, then it becomes passive. But look at the way subscription means regular, same clients are there who come again and again. Loyalty, there is loyalty, so there's no stress to get new business. You need to manage databases and serve those databases. There has to be something called giving. There has to be investment, so that there is an attraction towards your brand, and then that subscription happens and people start. So basically, over a period of time, you stop working hard towards them creating new clients or running after new clients or praying to get new clients. The old clients create that entire ecosystem, and your brand becomes a magnet, and you can start earning money without your being visible. So last point is invisible. And becoming invisible is a very important part of creating a brand. Because if you need to be there all the time, unfortunately, God has not made us Amar. We will die one day. Okay, we are not in, it's not that we'll be there all the time. So even if our service is best, there's a time comes we start getting old. A time comes we cannot compete with the youngsters. A time comes that we are no longer there. Okay, and if you create a brand which attracts customers, and if you have a system that works, then the best part is you become invisible. but the valuation of your brand actually increases. What is the meaning of valuation? Valuation means that somebody else is interested to buy your company. Somebody is interested to buy a share of your company. And any buyer will only be interested to buy your company if he is not dependent on an individual, on a particular person, because that person may be there or may not be there tomorrow. Okay, so if you want to increase the valuation of your company, if you want to leave a legacy for the next generation, you need to be invisible. So this is some concepts of passive income. And there are some more concepts of passive income is you can leave, if you are earning passive income, even after you, your family continues to earn. Okay, so there's a legacy that you can leave behind. Second thing is active income cannot be scaled up. Okay, so if I have to meet, if you like as a doctor, you can meet 15, 20, 25 patients a day. There's a limit. Okay, but with the passive income thinking, you can scale your business. You can meet even 100 and 200 patients a day because you are not meeting, your system is meeting, your team is meeting. Okay, it gives you immense time freedom. In fact, I told you, you can become invisible. It gives you immense time freedom. Okay, you experience, when I say diversification means it creates multiple source of income. There's not a single source of income. You can have passive income coming from a house which you have given on rent. You can have passive income from your investments. You can have passive incomes from your business, from one business, from second business, from third business. So those are the advantages. It's a very resilient model because it's a multiple source of income. So if one source dries up, the other sources are on. And as I said, the first word and the last word is legacy, which is so important. We work so hard for our families. Okay. And at the end of our lives, if we can leave something behind, which they can grow. So like if we are building let's say to give you an analogy, I'm making a house of 100 stories. Okay. Why not leave the 100 stories to my family, my children, so they can grow it from 100 to 200 and the next generation can take it higher. And that's exactly how Tata, Birla, Reliance and all these big companies are created. I'm just, Dr. Senthil, keep a track of my time and tell me.
Problem, sir. Please continue. I think we have ample time.
Let me know if in case I'm crossing my time.
No problem, sir. Please
What
continue.
what are the key lessons? Key lessons is from being the best. Okay, and this is the biggest lesson I have learned. You know, even when I was in college, it was all about trying to be first, trying to do well, trying to study the better, trying to beat others. Even when I started working as an employee, it was to become better than my colleagues so that I get a promotion, I get a higher increment. That's exactly how we are. That is how we are. That is the exposure we have got, and that is the world we have lived in for most of our time. Okay, but the biggest learning is from competitiveness to collaboration. Okay, so from being the best to power of and to others. Okay, suddenly what happens is once you become a leader, you want to hire people who are better than you. You want people, your focus is on getting good people. Your focus is on training good people so that they are part of an ecosystem and they are part of your scale-up journey. Okay, so from being the best to power of and to others. Power of others and power to others. So this is the beauty of creating a system. You stop being competitive, you start being collaborative, you start your overall your thinking becomes very broad and you start becoming a better person also. So the story of 10 to 100 jobs and the essence of leadership. So I'll just tell you these two things, why we must teach to grow and why we should not co-work with other people who are part of your team. Let me give you an example. Let's say I can make 10 units of a job and I do it extremely well. 10 units of a job. Okay, whichever job it is. Now I get demand because I'm doing my work so well. The market sends a demand to me that I need to create 100 units of this job. Now I have a capability of doing 10 units, let's say per month, but the market wants 100 units per month. What do? I can't do it myself. Okay, the only thing left is I have to look at other human beings and train. Okay, and train them. And what's the bigger thing is I need to train them to be at least as good as me or better than me. Because if they are not as good as me or they're worse than me, my 100 units will get rejected and I'll be out of business. So it's so important to train people and also forget that, they need to be worse than you. We have this ego that I want to be the best. No, we have to make them best because they are going to save us. They'll give us the time to scale up. So number one is supposing now I have 10 people, each one of them doing 10 units of that thing, and then 100 at the end of the month, and that's my business. Now, why? There's one more question that can come in my mind. I could be one of the person and I could hire 9 more persons. So then now we are 10 people. I do my 10 and the other 9, each one of them is doing 10. Even that's possible. But that is not leadership. Why? Because if I am one of them, I will compete with them. My role is not to compete with them. Okay, they can compete with each other to do better quality work. I can't compete with them. I am responsible for the 100 jobs, not for my 10 job. So I have to step out and I have to control that system where 100 jobs come out by 10 different people. Very simple rule, not taught in books or in theory. It's a pure practical understanding, but extremely, extremely important. Now comes the power of others. As I said, it's the most counterintuitive concept because we've never grown up by appreciating others. We always wanted to beat others, stay ahead of others. But as you become a businessman, you realize that others matter the most. OPT is other people's time. That is what's the most important because our time is 24 hours, 10 hours a day to work, overall 24 hours. But if I can work for 10 hours a day and I need to create 100 hours, I need 10 people. Other people's time is required, otherwise you can't scale up. So other people become very important. So other people's time, other people's money. Okay, you also raise money, other people's money. Without their money, there's no capital. So other people's money, other people's time, other people's intelligence, other people's skill, other people's knowledge, other people's technologies. So this is so important. OPT, OPM, OPI. This is the most biggest learning of being a businessman. So today, my focus is not on what I do or how I work. It's no more relevant. My focus is to identify talent, to keep looking at people and seeing whether I can make them super smart. Keep hunting for talent. Keep looking at people and seeing where can I put this person? How can I train this person? So my mind has stopped thinking about myself. Now I'm only looking at training and honing and making other people smarter and successful. If they are successful, I will be successful. That is a scale-up game. And as I said, the concept of invisibility, I've already told you. From feeling invincible, we need to become invisible. Both the words sound so similar. From invincibility to invisibility. When we are selling skill, we want to be invincible. Nobody should nobody should be bigger than me. But when you run a business, you need to be invisible. You need to be in the background. And others need to be visible. What are the requirements for this kind of thinking? Upfront investment of time and money from your side. So if we want to be businessmen, we have to invest money, we have to invest time, we have to invest capital, we have to show immense patience. We need to have very strong conviction about what we are doing. And that is why the vision and mission is very important. Only when you are very clear about your vision and mission, you can have that conviction. And that conviction gives strength to the entire system. Very important to have an advisor, a guide, a mentor, or an expert so that you take the right decisions. So having advisors is very, very, very important. In whatever you're doing, whatever be your business, you need to have a mentor. So what is system think tank? These are the very important words you need to keep in mind. Having purpose, mission, vision. If I have a company, I have a brand, what is the longer term purpose, mission, vision? Because it's going to be a legacy. Even the next generation is going to be part of it. From personal to corporate. Okay, from talking about yourself to talking about your brand, your company. Building a brand identity. So there is standardization. Then comes the brand portfolio, means what the multiple verticals you'll be running. Then comes the brand ecosystem. You need to create a culture. Unless you create a culture, you will not be able to hire similar kind of people who that you want. Culture is like a filter. So when you define your culture, you know whom to hire and whom not to hire. It is, you can train people on skills, but you can't train people on culture and their basic attitude. Culture filters the attitude. So you define your culture. Some people want funky people, that becomes a culture. Some people want conservative culture, then you look for conservative people. Systems and processes that you have to set, the SOPs, everything has to be, there should be a journal, there should be a book for every process, so that it can be transferred to different people. Different employees keep coming and going, so that how they have to work. So everything has to be defined, and these are called standard operating procedures, which is very much there in every field. Then there has to be a funding strategy. Other people's money. How do I raise the money? Is it through banks or through equity? And always other people, it has to be win-win-win thinking process. How others also will benefit, so that we all grow together. Ethics has to be at the foremost place. And finally, we have to be compliant. Okay, compliance is very important. So these are the thoughts that you have to have in mind. This is your think tank when you are thinking of being a businessman. And when it comes to the team, the whole game is about identifying talent, identifying people better than you. Now you must be I used to often wonder, why should I hire people better than me? If I hire people better than me, I lose my importance. But I hope you've understood today. A time comes when even if you're very skillful, you cannot play that game. Today you are like a coach, so you're not playing the game. You need to have the best team. Therefore, you need to have people better than you. Your focus has to be on training, 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 so that the talent becomes big that you have under you. Okay, then you need to create a lot of trust. There's a glue. A trust is the glue that holds a team together. How do you create trust? Through all your actions, your actions, your past record, your reputation, your personal equity builds that trust with your team. We need to learn to integrate this talent in such a way that they all work cohesively. And you need to delegate work without feeling at all. Sometimes when you delegate work, you may feel that I cannot delegate this or I cannot delegate this because I am the best in it. We have to forget that. We have to trust people, and you have to delegate. And in all likelihood, the result may be better than what we are currently having. And delete all the jobs that are not important. Don't do things that are unnecessarily consuming time. So this is how you have to have a think tank on team and on systems and processes. So that is because the game is about skill to scale. So these are the things you need to keep in mind and build a new ecosystem. So I had these things to share. We have Dr. Senthil and Dr. Kumaresh to share their stories, and there may be a couple of areas where there'll be overlap also. But from my side, I wanted to, it's a small presentation, which also encapsulates my own journey. Okay, but I learned these things as a trainer when I was a practitioner, just like you are a practitioner. I learned these things and I changed the way I was doing work. I transformed my life. And today I have multiple companies with me. I have time freedom and I have a lot of time to spend with my family. And therefore, I learned finally what's a businessman. There's a huge difference between a practitioner and a businessman. And I was under a wrong belief that I was a businessman when I left my job and became a practitioner. I only realized that I'm a businessman when I changed, when I transformed myself. So I hope this session has been useful to you. Thank you, Dr. Senthil, for giving me this great opportunity to present to such esteemed audience, and look forward to your session after this.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. It was very brief and very interesting. I liked a few of the points like using the other people's time, money, and knowledge. I think we should not be ashamed of that. Generally, we don't want to use other people's time as doctors. But second thing is basically about as a doctor, we always want to be the smartest person in the room. So that is the thought process which we have to move away from. Because if you want to be the smartest person in the room or in your organization, then you may not be able to get other smart talent with you. And the mindset of an entrepreneur is to have the smartest people with you, and you don't have to be the smartest person. Your smartness is in getting those smart people with you. I think because see, if you see Wipro's Asim Premji, he started his life as a sunflower oil. He used to have a factory making sunflower oil, and then he could start a software company because he was able to get those smart skill, talented software people to work for him. So those are the things that we have to work on that. Another thing is basically when we start our clinic or the hospital, we don't think it as an enterprise. We start as a small clinic. Maybe many of us have it as a proprietorship, but we don't have this long-term vision, like what happens to my clinic. Am I creating something of value? Because a doctor is so attached to his profession that every day, morning till evening, he works for 40, 50 years. But at the end of it, has he created an enterprise which has got value? Because many times, if the children don't become doctors, they are not able to, we are not able to give it to somebody else. And maybe with the doctor goes away that hard work of, say, 40, 50 years. And on the other hand, somebody starting a small business, let's say even a small restaurant, has a huge value in terms of financial value. It can be transferred to somebody. And so the first mindset change we have to think is start thinking our practice as a business enterprise, which is something of value and which can be either sold to somebody or handed over. So the first thing is, am I creating an organization which is a valuable organization for myself, my family, and for my legacy? As you said, rightly said, legacy creation. So so in fact, our Aftal conference, which we are planning in Noida, I wanted to have this theme as from inception to legacy creation. You start your practice, and how do you create a legacy? So that is very interesting. Lot of interesting points which you brought into this presentation, sir, and I think really initiated the minds. We have a full house, almost 87, 90 people attending it. So before I go into my presentation, I'd like to bring in a very interesting person, Dr. Abdullah Zahir. He is an ophthalmologist from Maldives and a very good friend of mine. A classical example of entrepreneurship because he runs the largest eye hospital in Maldives, largest chain, largest group of doctors in Maldives, a very small country, mostly focused on tourism, but having a phenomenal turnover. Apart from that, he runs a chain of optical shops. He is in real estate business and also has a resort in Maldives. And Dr. Zakir doesn't practice clinical medicine, and he is into managing. He has employed the smartest people with him. And Dr. Zakir, if you can pitch in for a few minutes about your journey and how exactly you thought different from the other doctors. You are not practicing as a clinician. And one more thing, basically, see, the whole idea is not to ask you to leave your practice. Definitely, that is not the idea. But how do you also think in a large scale? How do you actually kind of, apart from being a clinician, create something of value and also that's the whole idea. Dr. Zakir, if you can come in and then share your story. So Dr. Zakir is from Maldives, and yes, over to you, sir.
All right, thank you. So, Dr. Central, can you hear me?
Yeah, very clear, sir.
Yeah, I'm just recovering from a bad cold after almost 26 days of holiday.
Okay.
So I had been traveling from Dubai, Istanbul, Cairo, and then just got back 3 days ago, me and my wife. It was quite an interesting holiday. Well, to your question, yes. Obviously, we have to have medical professionals. We have to have professionals from in each field. This particular talk is not like pulling out all the practitioners to be entrepreneurs, which is actually not possible, and it is not at all meaningful. They have to be there to do the service to the community. Well, the thing is, there will be still some practitioners who may be thinking of, starting their own entrepreneurial journey. So for them, yeah, of course, these are going to be very, very helpful. Yes, even in my case, I was one of the topper in school. I topped in my postgraduate degree course, as the previous speaker, just miss his name, has mentioned. I was topping the school as well. But that does not mean that even though I became the best postgraduate student in ophthalmology, that does not mean that I really loved to be a practitioner. But I was thinking, what if I could do something more than just me sitting all the way in the clinic? So the whole thought process was that, and also once I came to Mali, I also got a presidential award because I scored high marks in the government scholarship in the ophthalmology. And that made me quite famous as well in the country. But a lot of people were basically, they were trying to consult me. But how I got out of it was I placed one of my good friends in my clinic whom I can trust. And I just told him, you please replace me. I will just come out. So I first replaced with one of my good friend doctor, and then later added another person. And initially it was very difficult to convince my patients. But every time I used to tell them, look, the person in my clinic is way better than me. But actually he was a diploma guy. The second guy was way smarter than me. He was a good phacosurgeon as well. But all I was just telling him is do not do any harm to the patient. If you are not sure of the treatment, I am always there to help you. So basically the thing here is to come out. You have to make sure that your clinic is running well, and at the same time, your patients are treated well. So yes, in my journey, I have come quite far now. We have crossed 20 years in my business. So from a basic, very small clinic, now we have done 2 hospitals, and our 3rd hospital is hopefully the foundation will be laid very soon. It will be a world-class one. Hopefully it will be opening in 2026. We have a team of over 150 right now with us in the eye care business, but it will soon cross to 200, hopefully in a couple of months or so. And yes, we have diversified into other businesses like real estate, medical, and the tourist resort business. Yes, that's quite interesting, but it cannot happen unless you are yourself growing. You have to continuously learn yourself, bring continuous improvements to your business, train your team, develop a leadership within the team, and otherwise it is not possible. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it was very interesting, and basically what just let me 1 minute. So what Dr. Zakir, what is very interesting from him is how he was able to transform himself from ophthalmology practice into other businesses like real estate and resorts, and which was a very different kind of a diversification, generally not seen in doctors. So are there any comments from the participants? If any of you want to make a comment, or if you want to have a question, maybe we can have one question before I go on into my presentation. Okay, so maybe everybody no comments. So let me start off with my presentation, and then we can have the question answer session after Dr. Kumaresh's speech. I think most of the topics which I wanted to cover, Mr. Dharmendra has also touched up, and maybe over the next 15-20 minutes, I would like to talk about how do you change your thought process to think like an entrepreneur from a doctor, or how do we get into the mindset of Dr. Abdullah Zakir? I think that is the way we will structure it for the next 15-20 minutes. And this transformation requires change in mindset, basically, because when we are doctors, we are into particular set of beliefs like medicine is a noble profession, medicine is not for profit making, and it's wrong to make profits and all these things. But what we have to understand that medicine is also a business, but it's a business with compassion. We cannot be having the medical practice as we are thinking. Just 1 minute. So basically, the transformation requires a change in the mindset, and medical practice is a practice with compassion. And generally, when we become doctors, what we acquire in the medical school or medical curriculum is the clinical knowledge and the surgical and the treatment knowledge, which we think that is more than enough to start a practice and run our practices. But what is more important is a successful medical practice is more 80% business skills and 20% clinical skills, because clinical skills you can always get other doctors, it can be replaced, but the learning of the business skills is more important. So as a doctor, we always think that, oh, if I do a good surgery, if I can deliver 20/20 or 6/6 vision to all the patients, it is basically enough. Just hold on for 1 minute. So other thing is, most of the time as doctors, we are employed in our own businesses. Basically, as Robert Kiyosaki said, there are 4 segments of people: employed, self-employed, entrepreneur, and investors. So when we start our own clinic or when we start our practice, we think that we are entrepreneurs. But what happens is, when you're employed, so basically what is employment? You work for somebody, then you are an employed professional, where your income or your success depends on how many hours of work you are putting into it. But getting a salary is a less risk-free option. The second option, I think majority of the doctors come into that option of self-employed, where you are working in your own, when you start your clinic, you are working in your own clinic, but the success and income depends on how many hours of time you are putting into that practice. And risk is comparatively higher, but it's still not risk-free when you are becoming a self-employed person. But the transformation, what we are trying to talk today, is from self-employed into an entrepreneur. Like Dr. Zakir or most of us are entrepreneurs, basically because you create systems which will generate revenues for you. You create systems and processes which can actually work for you, and you don't actually have to work in that business. The difference between working in the business and on the business. And when you're an investor, it's like you invest in other businesses, which gets you the more success and more revenue. So basically, as doctors, because we are self-employed, we are most of the times very busy. Many times our complaint is that, oh, I don't have time for my family, I don't have time for meeting friends, I don't have time to travel, because most of the time we are too busy to be successful. Most of the doctors are too busy to be successful. So apart from being a clinician, like working in your clinic, what you have to think is, how do you actually create that valuation to your business? And how do you, as Mr. Dharmendra said, how do you become from invincible to invisible? So even if you're not there, can you get that revenue? So okay, even if you're going to take leave for say 1 month, will you still be having that revenue coming? Other people who are working for you, who can still get you that the business keeps running. So you can be a part of everything also. I don't think we should become a pure investor or a pure entrepreneur, but we can be a self-employed person. We can also have a part of entrepreneurship in it, and also can be a part of investor. So combination of these things are also possible. So that's the mindset change which we want to bring in by this talk. So, and the whole concept started from the differentiation between working in the business and working on the business. So, what is the difference? So, when you are going to your clinic every day, seeing those 100 patients, doing those 50 surgeries, you are working in your business, meaning you are employed in your hospital. You are a self-employed person. But what is working on the business is like what Dr. Abdullah and all the big entrepreneurs in medicine do, is basically they keep working on the business. They think like, what is the overall market in India? What is happening? Why is these VCP companies investing in eye care? And how can I grow myself to be sold to a VC? What is the valuation of my practice? So all these things are working on the business. So, and how do you become invisible in your own business? And how do you create that legacy? How do you create that brand value? How do you create that legacy is more important. So start moving from maybe every day, if you are self-employed, work in the business for 80% of the time and work on the business for 20% of the time. I think that is how that mindset change will also happen. What we are trying to do through Aftal over the past 4-5 years is also make doctors think how to work on the business. Like if you attend our conference, basically it is going to be 2-3 days of brainstorming into how do you actually work in the business, meet people who are thinking like you. All these things are important, and understanding this difference between in the business and on the business is very important. Today, almost 88 people are attending this meeting. So you have started working on your business. If you're attending a clinical program, if you're attending a clinical session, it is mostly you are still working in the business. So I think now you will understand the difference between these two concepts. And business or entrepreneurial skill is nothing but managing people and managing processes. So only thing is, as doctors, are we okay to have more smarter people with us? So are we okay to have more specialists than us with us? And are we okay to acknowledge them in our organization? So because we always want to be the smartest person in the room, or we always want to be the smartest person in the organization. But if we have to think as an entrepreneur, I think we have to get other smart people working for us and other smart people with us. And more smarter people we have with us, I think, and if we are able to manage them properly, that is when we think as an entrepreneur. And do we have the processes? So basically, are we having a process in our organization? What kind of registration process we have? What kind of financial reporting we have? So first, do we have these processes? And once we put in these processes, so it is nothing but managing these people and managing the processes, which will give us the returns and creation of that enterprise and legacy creation. So business is nothing but managing people and managing process. Managing people is getting the smarter people with us. So now, as you see, so many, there is a huge competition in India for doctors, and particularly the cities have so many similar ophthalmologists, one particular street having a lot of hospitals coming up. And how do we actually differentiate us from the other rest of the people to have this entrepreneurial success? So basically, we can differentiate based on skill. Like I'm the best LASIK surgeon, or I am the best first phaco surgeon. I am the first person to implant these lenses. But now skill acquisition has become very easy. So anybody can acquire the skill. So it's getting too much difficult to differentiate ourselves based on skill. And maybe differentiate based on price, which is like mostly a lower price strategy. If we say that, okay, I can do surgery for 10,000 rupees, 8,000 rupees, but still in medical practice, differentiation based on price is something which we should not do, because a low price is perceived as low quality. So we can never differentiate us based on the price. And most common mistake we also try to do is differentiate based on technology. Like we are the first center to acquire the smile technology or robotic cataracts and all these things. But the differentiation based on technology cannot last for long because technology also can be acquired by the other competitors. So how do we actually differentiate ourselves? So let us look at the progression of economic value. So basically, 150, 200 years back, most of the economy was agrarian. So people are working in the fields and they were producing these commodities. And then the economy became industrial, where 50% of the process was done by machines and 50% the manufacturing was done by manpower. Then we got into the IT services and service economy. Now we have this experience economy, like people pay for experiences. And the next generation is going to be the economy created by artificial intelligence. And I read one article today saying that most of the wealth is created by the billionaires in the artificial intelligence. So as of now, I think we can differentiate ourselves using the experience. Are we giving a good customer experience to our patients? So I've given a small example of coffee, like how coffee as a commodity is lower priced, and the same coffee in a Starbucks is maybe 4 times or 5 times price because people pay for experiences. So, as an entrepreneur, how do we think about scaling our business, or how do we get more patients? Is by sometimes we also think that if I advertise, I can get more patients, but advertising also is seen by patients as something. Why is this doctor advertising? Patients see advertising with suspicion because always people think that if a doctor advertises, leave the ethical part alone, but if a doctor advertises, it means that, oh, maybe he doesn't have patients. What we need is good public relation, PR, like create good, like see, a patient from Maldives came and we operated them here. Or this is the technology, a new technology has been introduced in our hospital. Or community outreach. The largest eye care brands in India, the charitable brands are built by public relations. They are not built by advertisements. So don't think of advertising your practice. What we need is more of creating this PR campaigns for us. And identifying these blue oceans. Are there blue oceans in our own field? Because every doctor does the same. So are we having some blue oceans which we can tap into and create a revenue stream out of it? Because all the traditional aspects are the red oceans, like the cataract surgeries, consultation, glaucoma, and everything is highly competitive. Are there blue oceans in ophthalmology? For example, myopia treatment, or maybe a cosmetic ophthalmology. All these things are blue oceans. So can we identify these blue oceans? I think that is also something very important. So personally, I think Mr. Dharmendra also asked me to share my story. So basically, I always wanted to identify these blue oceans, and then I thought maybe tele-ophthalmology is something scalable because I used to be a very serious practitioner doing seeing patients, doing surgeries and everything. But at one point of time, I thought that this is something not scalable. And I got fed up. My problem is I get bored doing the same thing for a long time. So then I thought, is there a process of a business we can create using tele-ophthalmology? Because so many diabetic patients in India and less number of ophthalmologists. So the tele-ophthalmology market was basically captured by the non-profits, because the non-profits going into the villages, getting these patients and then screening them using those big satellite vans and all these things. Then we thought, can we do it in a large scale on a smaller way, on a less investment kind of a model, where these we started tying up with these diabetes centers, putting up fundus cameras in diabetes centers, and then getting the images coming, just like teleradiology, replicating teleradiology for teleophthalmology. And That business scaled reasonably well, and we started with the 2-3 locations, and then we scaled up to almost 350 locations now. And every day, thousands of patients get screened through the teleophthalmology initiative, which we started. We even worked for 2 years with the government of Andhra Pradesh, where we screen almost for 6 lakh patients for diabetic retinopathy through that project, where all the primary health centers of the government was changed into teleophthalmology locations. So, is there a way to identify these blue oceans in your own practice? I think there are quite still a lot of blue oceans which can still come, which can help us think in the entrepreneurial way. So my second venture has been this Aftal through which we are all connected. Basically, I understood that there is a lacuna in the business side of ophthalmology. 6,000, 7,000 small individual eye hospitals which are being run by doctors, but they don't have the business skills required to run a practice. Because in the US or in the West, you always have these dedicated practice managers who take care of the practice management. But in India, it is still the ophthalmologist who runs that practice management, who also takes care of everything in the practice. So we thought, why don't we create an organization to support doctors to kind of practice in a better way, equip them with the business skills they need to practice in a more efficient way. So that was the idea behind Oftal. It started as a small conference, and then in 2018, and then we created our own consultancy organization where we help hospitals to set up. We have a team of almost 21 consultants who can support everything, right from setting up the opticals to designing your OT to legal and auditors and everything. We also understood that doctors wanted to do this group purchase, and but there was no structured platform for group buying. And there was always a difficulty for doctors to procure the equipment. So we also created the group buying concept for doctors. We started tying up with Indian manufacturers who make good products, and then we brought them to the market. And so we launched quite a few products, including our own online portal for ophthalmologists to buy equipments. So all these were blue oceans which I identified, and then I thought could be helpful to the ophthalmic community in terms of improving the practices. So are there these blue oceans which you can identify? Are there these blue oceans which you can also identify and practice in your own practice and implement them? So I think you have to think in those lines also to have this entrepreneurial thought process. The last concept I would finish off with, particularly most of the practices, initially when you start your practice and then it goes to a peak after 10, 12 years, 15 years, then everybody gets stagnated. Everybody gets stagnated at, say, 80 patients a day or 60 patients a day, and the revenue also gets stagnated. So this is like every business. It's not only happens with ophthalmology, but with every business where you plateau down. And if you don't do or jump that curve, you may actually dip down, and then your practice may go down. So how do you make that jump? So like maybe adding a new technology, or maybe collaborating with a corporate, or maybe converting your practice into a group practice, or all those things. So there are multiple ways to jump the curve. So if you think in those lines, I think this is also important to jump the curve, and then towards the end of your practice, or when you feel that you have plateaued down, I think how do you jump that curve? That is also very important for us to understand. So just a small example for that concept of jumping the curve. Back in the US, maybe 50 years back, for preservation of the food, the ice were literally cut from the lakes, the frozen lakes. People used to cut the ice. So these were the ice cutting business model. And then after some time, maybe in the last 20 years, 30 years, we had these ice factories. People started making to the ice in the factories. Then recently we have these refrigerators where we can make these ice in our own homes. So the problem is the people who were ice cutters didn't jump the curve to make the ice factories, to build the ice factories, and people who made the ice factories didn't jump the curve to build the refrigerator. So they lost the businesses. So I think it's very important to jump the curve whenever it is required. This concept of is something which is really needed for you to understand and implement in your practice. So otherwise, you may dip down the curve. So finally, as we can only show the way as some with some experience which we have had, but I think you have to go in and walk your own path. And so my contact information is here, and I would also take this as an opportunity to invite you all to our Aftal conference in Noida, which is going to be a 3-day event at this time on May 24, 25, 26. And if you are really somebody who wants to grow your practice, if you're somebody who is thinking of jumping the curve and who wants to create that legacy, I'm sure attending this conference for 3 days is something on going to be working on the business. So please get away some time from working in the business and working on the business. I'm sure you're getting the details about our conference through the WhatsApp groups and other things. Please do register and support Aftal, and thank you for your patient hearing. And maybe we can have some questions and then go on to Dr. Kumaresh. So are there any questions? I think we want to, let us not discuss any business case. If any of you want to maybe we also want to have some feedback as to how we are doing, and or maybe Mr. Dharmendra, sir, can your comments, and then maybe then we can go on to questions and then to Dr. Kumaresh, sir.
Sir, I think let us get Dr. Kumaresh, and once he is through, then we'll open up for open questions and feedback.
Okay. Dr. Kumaresh, are you ready?
Yeah, ready, sir. Can you make me co-host? I could not share.
1 minute, sir. 1 minute.
Yeah.
So you can share now, sir. You can share.
No, I will make you co-host. Yeah. Yes, sir. You can share now. Dr. Kumaresh is an anesthetist. I gave a little bit of introduction. He's from Madurai, the temple town of Tamil Nadu, and a very good friend of mine, and a very interesting person who very few people who have moved away from totally from clinical medicine into the business side, and something totally different. He got into financial advice, and he is now supporting a lot of doctors plan their finance in a better way, because we as doctors are one community which doesn't have good knowledge on management. We earn money, but we don't invest money in a proper way. And Dr. Kumaresh, just like how I understood that there is a need for the practice development, he understood that there is a need for financial management in planning in a better way, and he wanted to help doctors to manage their finances properly. He has a company now for that purpose, and he's also very knowledgeable in mutual funds, and he wants to help. I don't know if I'm wrong, sir, correct me. He wants to help, I think, 10,000 doctors.
1 lakh doctors.
1 lakh, 1 lakh doctors reach financial freedom. I think his purpose of life or vision in life is to help 1 lakh doctors achieve financial freedom, and is already in the course for that. And over to you, Dr. Kumaresh.
Good evening, all. At the outset, I thank Dr. Sendil sir for giving me this opportunity. Without much ado, we will go on with the topic. As Sendil sir has told, I'm a typical doctor, and after MBBS, I joined Kalpakam Atomic Energy Hospital because central government pays higher than state government pay. That's the only reason I know at that time. After joining that Kalpakam Atomic Hospital, I came to know that the doctors are not that much rich. So I asked what to do. They asked, do PG. So I immediately resigned that post and joined MD Anesthesia. That MD Anesthesia course also, the doctors were not rich. So I asked the doctors what I should do. Go to foreign country, you can earn more. So started clearing for PLAB and got training in UK, and I was not happy there. So I returned back to Madurai and joined a renal transplant team. So for every doctor's dream is to build a hospital. As the answer is what to do, I don't know. So I helped my spouse to build a small 10-bedded exclusive psychiatric hospital. So that I thought I can be satisfy my ego of building one hospital. In the same time, I started helping my surgeons in personal finance since 2013. Started helping other doctors also from 2017. During COVID times, because I was mostly in elective surgeries, I had zero business, zero cases. So my income drastically come to zero. And psychiatric hospital also, it's not emergency in emergency. So that income also has become zero. So my total income of my family has become zero during COVID times. But I had time to read more about businesses, learned about business at that time. And I thank COVID for that. Because at that level, at that time only, all the Zoom came into picture and got connected to next level education. That is the turning point in my life. And now in 2024, I stopped my anesthesia practice and started my own Blossom Wealth Private Limited company. So with regard to wealth, 95% of the people has got only 5% of the wealth. Why? Because they are selling their time for money, either employee or a self-employed. When I asked many doctors, I'm an entrepreneur, many doctors tell. I asked them, have you taken 1 year off? Or you are going to world tour for 1 year. Does the hospital runs with profit without you? Then you are a business owner. Otherwise, you are self-employed only, I will say. Then only they came to know that doctors are not entrepreneurs or business owners. They are self-employed. If they don't give time for that hospital, then money will not be generated. Then I want to become rich. What the rich people do, or wealthy people do, where 5% of the population, they want 95% of the wealth of the world. They are investors and business owners. Either they invest their money to make money, or they have system in place and they work for their money. For that, Robert Kiyosaki has beautiful this quadrant from where the money is coming from. Dharan sir has beautifully told us about active and passive income. See, in left side of the quadrant, if you make money, means you are converting time into money. Self-employed, you work for yourself. But if you take holiday, then the business will come down. But passive income, they are the happiest people. They pay goals and live a good life. In big businesses, what happened? They have hard people and system and processes there to generate more income. So from where we are earning our money, that is very important, because time freedom is the most important thing than money. That I learned in a hard way. Dharam sir was talking about win-win-win principle. So what are all the three stakeholders of a business? One is client, another one is team member, another third is business owner. So these are all the three peoples of a stakeholders of a business. So what the client wants is value for that money. Or the clients will want, or patients will want value for that money. What the team member is needed is they want financial growth, career growth, and quality of life. They want these three things. And what the business owner wants is wealth generation, brand building, time freedom. So these are all the, each one, these stakeholders want this at the end of the day. So if the client lose and team member lose, business owner win means it is a scam. It can't run for long. If the client wins, team member lose, and business owner win, then it is exploitation, or we commonly called as corporate culture. But if the client wins, team member lose, business owner lose, then it is charity. So all the three stakeholders should win. That is win, win, win principle. If any business adopts those strategy, win, win, win principle strategy, then it will be huge successfully, because there is no exploitation, there is no scam, there is no charity. So we have to build our businesses with basically win, win, win principle only. So we talk about self-employment, self-employment. What is self-employment? Self-employment is a situation when you start a business and create jobs to pay salaries on time, but you do the work which your team is supposed to do. Because if in a hospital, doctor is the person, but he does all the job, he pays the salary on time to all the team members. End of the day, he doesn't pay for himself. That's the main huge problem with doctors. So what is the difference between self-employment and businesses? Self-employed has a high owner dependency there, and business has got low owner dependency. Whether the owner is there or not, the business will run. But in self-employment, without the owner, the business cannot run. And crisis-based action will be there always in self-employment. If emergency comes, if a surgery comes, any bleeding comes, the entire thing stops and firefighting mode starts. So there is no low action consistency is there. But in business, consistent simultaneous actions happen. So the high result and efficiency is there. But business always have accelerated way for job creation. That self-employment, we are exchanging our time for money. For all 24 hours is the time. Whether it is Bill Gates or a doctor or to an ordinary common man. So how we are going to use our time, that is very important. There comes Dharam principles, other people, time, money, energy, knowledge, technology, all those things comes into picture. What are the three reasons why we stuck in self-employments, we doctors? Because lack of knowledge. How to create strategies, systems, and build teams. That knowledge I didn't have before joining Next Level Education in 2021. Because I don't know. Lack of knowledge. We have to learn by going this conference and attending this conference after conference. Like that, we have to go to the conferences and learn the out-of-box thinking, how to build businesses, how to create strategy system and build teams. And we doctors always have a perfection mindset. I'm the perfect anesthetist. I'm the best person in anesthesia. If I'm there, then the best, then only the best care will be given. Like that, we have got many, I, me, myself, my patient, I'm the best. I will do the best. Without me, it can't happen. Like that. So, perfection mindset. That's why we are stuck in self-employment. What is this playing of survival means? When I start my practice, the practice will grow fast. Then it will reach a plateau. Then what will happen means, in some other doctors, if I hire another doctor, then thinking that my income is going to go up. Due to some mistakes, it may go down. So we think that we have done so many mistakes while building the practice, but the new doctor doing mistakes, we can't accept because we have got a perfection mindset. So our income goes down because we are paying salary for that doctor. So we go, instead of going up, our curve goes down, we go into comfort zone. This is the best. This is the best I can do. Like that, we start playing survival game. Instead of jumping the curve, Dr. Sindil sir told, we start playing the game of survival. Success is shabby because if you, instead of going this way, success is shabby, like this only. It can't be go straight. There will be failure. We have to accept failures. During our practice, we have done so many mistakes to make ourselves perfect. That is the price that we are going to give while building the businesses. So, perfection mindset, we have to lose first. What are the key principles to shift from self-employment to building a business? Be a catalyst, not a cattle. What others do, if the same thing I do, then there is no difference at all. I should become a leader. I should become a catalyst. I should educate, because we doctors, we don't tell all of us some surgical secrets or something that we have understood deeply because of our experience. We don't share because we think if this is shared, then the USP is gone. My unique selling proposition is gone. So we don't tell our secrets to others. So instead of that, we have to educate our team. We have to train. We have to coach. We have to mentor. We have to be a catalyst. So this mindset, we have to make ourselves not like cattle mindset. This principle, if we follow, then we can start building our businesses. Second is, perfection is a myth. Progression is the key. Perfection mindset is the worst mindset even I had when I was a doctor. So if we come out of that mindset, then we can delegate our jobs to other junior doctors, colleagues, friends, and develop them by educating, training, coaching, mentoring. So like that, if we start doing all those things, we can become leaders of the business. Generally, we know anatomy of business, even I don't know before joining next level education. There it is taught, business has got these 7 anatomy: marketing, sales, operation, accounts, HR, research and development, management. What happens in doctor business is the doctor has to do marketing. What is marketing doing? Education marketing, teaching, going to other schools, doing for educating the teachers, students, or teaching other doctors. What we are doing education marketing. Sales and operation, when the patient comes to our clinic, we do that. We do operate, we do water rounds, OP rounds, all those things. When we do marketing, sales, operations, accounts doesn't happen at all, because we are only single person in the business. We don't know how to handle accounts. At least we can hand over to auditors, but we have to handle human resource. We are not employing human HR. So for research and development, we have to go to conference. Then we have to manage all those things. So when I go into R&D, for example, to conference to develop myself, what happens? Marketing, operations, account, human resource management becomes standstill. If I do operations, seeing OPD, ward, operation theater, marketing, human resource management, everything comes in standstill. So because I'm a single person, I have to do all the works. I have to do firefighting if something goes wrong in any one of these departments. So what we have to do is, a business is like a cycle wheel, and there are 7 spokes: marketing, sales, operations, HR, accounts, management, and research and development. All these are 7 spokes. All should be aligned. Every department, we have to keep a person. We have to trust a person. We have to train, educate, let him go to some management school, and research and development should happen simultaneously. So all the cycle spokes should be aligned and tight. Otherwise, damage can happen in the business. What this means, if one department is loose or one spoke is not good and it is loose and fallen, means it will hit the next spoke. And while the cycle wheel goes up, goes round and round, it will damage the other spokes also. So all the things you have to depute one person, then only a business can run. Sometimes we have to, even this week, I'm going to Jamset for management school, XLRI, for getting a training. After training, I will educate my employees how to, I have to educate, train, coach, mentor. Like that, if we do consistently to our team members, a beautiful team will be formed. Then I will become a business owner. Even now, I am a self-employed only. Even after starting this Blossom Wealth Private Limited. But in 2028 to 2030, I will build team for all the departments. Currently, I've had 4 MBA finance and 1 engineer for looking after my business. So 2028 to 2030, in all departments, one person will be responsible for each and everything, and they will take care of the business to the next level. So this is what we were talking about, how to go about in the, there may be some overlap, but this is the main regarding working on the business. When we focus on something, when the energy flows, we will get the result. To get the focus, we have to have intention of why we are going to do this business, what we are going to do this, how to do this. These 3 things comes under vision and mission. And then we have to start the team building. Then we have to corporate exist, hand over to the team, then become invisible. This is the strategy that we can follow while going from practitioner to entrepreneur. For example, our vision of our company, WealthX Private Limited, is happy people, happy society, happy nation. Vision should be in broader terms, in bigger terms. My mission is educate, inspire, empower, transform 1 lakh doctors to achieve their financial independence. I was talking to my mentor, Mr. Dharam sir, how to, for the past 6 years, I could educate only 6,000 doctors. How can I achieve 1 lakh doctors during my lifetime? I asked. He told, clone Kumaresh. What is that? I asked him, how to do that? Make another 15 doctors a good financial advisor. So, you 16 people, in next 6 years, you can reach 96,000 people, already 6,000. So, within 5 years, we can reach our mission. On that mission, already 15 doctors we have, I'm mentoring. So that in next 5 years, we can reach 1 lakh doctors. So like that, mentor is one of the main person in business, or reaching the vision and mission. As I told, as a team building activity, currently we have got 6-member team apart from me, and corporatizing. We are converting into private limited company. And then what I'm going to do is I will hand over all my clients to my team. I should become invisible. My client, I will be the best. If I'm not there, what the client will think, all those things we have to change in our mindset. Then we must become invisible. Another mentor, Karin Hasaja, has told, doctors is the best person in the hospital. If you are the best in your team, it's the worst for your business. Because for each and every doubt, all the team members will come and ask you only. They don't take responsibility. They don't take any role. And they will take your time. So the biggest bottleneck of any business is the business owner. So you should have a proper job description and job role, and make the team to take over the responsibility. Then the business will run on its own. We should leave the perfection mindset. delegate, develop, and if it's not working, then delete. Always again come out of the perfection mindset, aim to get better. That is the thing that I have learned from next level to become a practitioner to entrepreneur. Thank you very much for giving us the opportunity. Thank you. Happy to answer your queries.
Thank you, sir. It was very nice and a lot of good concepts. One thing is, as doctors, we want to be perfect, but when you're in a business, you cannot be perfect on day one. Like most of the products, when they started, they are starting at a very primitive stage and it goes on improving. Just like, see, we were discussing 1 week back about this program, and we had these presentations. All of us had the presentation, and I think whatever I saw 4 or 5 days back, totally different. Now what we have presented is very different because it keeps evolving. I think that is, you cannot be perfect on the first time. And once we have another 1 week, maybe our top talk will be still more perfect. That is the whole idea. And very interesting. Maybe some comments from Dharam sir, and then we can go on to the questions.
Yeah, so I hope this session has given you an insight about, scaling up. I think enough of scaling. I think now we look up scaling, and when you do scaling, you have to skill other people. The one thing that has stayed with me, and it is changing the way I live and the way as a family we live, is the whole concept of others. Suddenly, I've realized collaboration and others are very important in our life. And that alone helps you scale up very well, because when you start caring for others, when you start building others, when you start showing them a mission and a vision and inspiring them, they stay with you, they work with you, and they help you grow. So there was one question that had come, but I think it got deleted, that as a doctor, I am a skillful person. People come to me. It's my skill. How do I keep somebody else? That's exactly where the challenge is. It's your skill, but can't it be transferable? If there's another a doctor who's qualified doctor who has got experience, but not as good experience as yours, has not handled as many cases as yours, hasn't perhaps handled some complication cases like you, can't you teach him all that? Everything in this world is transferable. Sometimes we tend to make ourselves believe that it is not. I think there lies the challenge. It is transferable. We can nurture people. We can, in fact, most of the coaches, their students are better than the coaches. If you see, most of the coaches, if you see, all are cricketers, they all have coaches. They're not great players, they're their coaches. Okay, so if we train people, we might actually be surprised that in our team we'll create people who are even better than what we can perform. So I think that is the crux. How can I get somebody else to do my work? That is the whole crux, single point of this entire program. If you understood this program, you'll overcome that challenge. I'll open it for question and answers, and you all can ask who you would want to answer. So you can ask Senthil sir to answer, Kumaresh or me in your question, so that as per what you want, we will do that.
Yeah, actually, you can unmute and ask your question. So you don't really have to type. If you have a comment or a question, I think you can unmute and ask. So basically, I think before the question comes, another thing which we as a practitioner or a self-employed person is not able to do is the collaboration. Basically, the one thing, one common mistake which we have seen with doctors is we always continue to collaborate, talk and meet and interact with the similar skilled person. Like if you're an anesthetist, you only go to anesthesia conferences, you talk with other anesthetists, you literally you live with them. But see, that is also a person who is similar to you. So you have to actually go ahead and collaborate with somebody who is very different. Like see, even this program today has happened because of our collaboration, because otherwise how can I get the skill of somebody like Mr. Dharmendra or Dr. Kumaresh? So it's a collaborative effort which will help a lot of times, because in my life I've seen many things. Even our Oftal conference, being an individual, it is very difficult to run a conference. But I've collaborated with one company which is doing conferences as their conference and expo as their expertise. So they have been doing it for the last 30 years. So that collaboration helps us do the conference. So there is a person who is into microscope manufacturing for the last 30 years. He doesn't have the brand. So we collaborate with him. We really don't have to kind of put in that infrastructure and everything to make it here. So as a doctor, can we collaborate with other people? Because collaboration is what has led to the success of big companies. And if you see companies, even a company like GE, so they have so many collaborations. They collaborate with the genetic company, they collaborate with AI, they collaborate multiple. We can't even imagine that why this company is collaborating with those kind of different people. So if you think of that way to collaborate with anybody, that is also something interesting. I used to give one example of this pediatric hospital in Barcelona, which wanted to create a advertisement campaign, and then they thought of a lot of ways. Like they initially thought, can we do pediatric camps? There was a pediatric neurosurgeon in our audience also. So then at one point they thought, why not we take a small problem? Because just like India, in Spain also children were carrying these huge bags to school. So the heavy bags they were taking. So the parents were very concerned about that. So this hospital thought and went to a big bag maker in Spain. They said, why don't you design a bag with our own hospital branding, which will reduce the impact of the spine of the children. So some additional support to the spine. So that campaign became very viral. So they started. So instead of a hospital collaborating with another hospital or doing the traditional way, you can even collaborate with a very different person, like a bag maker. It's a collaboration between a hospital and a bag maker. We would never think that can happen. So I think collaboration is also some point which is very important.
So yeah, during from our school days, we were taught to compete. See, he's getting first rank, so you must get more marks. So from school, we were taught about competitive mindset. But in business, when you go up, all the top people, they collaborate.
Yeah.
So collaboration, the advantages I came to know only after next level education.
So it's like
That
collaborate,
much,
not compete. So you
not
can
compete.
correct.
Top levels collaborate. Only lower level people compete with each other. So we should think like a top people, not like bottom people. That's why we think other doctor as a competitor, and we fight among ourselves. Who is the best doctor? I am the best. Like this change in mindset, if you collaborate with them, then the transformation happens.
I think Mr. Gurumurthy has asked a question. Do you have a course or program for these business skills to Dharmendra sir? Sir, you can.
Yes, we do have it. Currently, the course is designed towards helping other practitioners like financial practitioners become businessmen. But with Kumaresh and Dr. Senthil, we are trying to redesign this program to cater to the medical fraternity. So it has to be slightly curated. So we are working on a course. I mean, the basic concept will be similar, but it has to be tailor-made for the medical fraternity. So we are working on that.
So we will come out. Maybe if you give us a few weeks' time, we will come out with a course where doctors can enroll, and I think which will be helpful for all the doctors.
There is one question which speaks about I'm from a small town. Here, very difficult to get another doctor for the hospital. So I will give a general answer for this. This is a problem for many people. They will say that we are not getting the right employee. It is very difficult to get the right employee. So yes, it is not easy to get talented people, all the time. But if you make that more important than seeing a patient, if that search for a person becomes a priority, okay, because that means everything for you, automatically you will find the person. Today, what is happening is in a normal course of life, That is an also activity. I need to find a good person. So hoping that one day a good person will come and sit in front of us. Okay, but if you make that as a cardinal reason for your business, if that without that nothing happens, automatically like Swami, like Maresh said, that moment your energy moves in that direction, your focus and results will come. So there is no simple solution. Second is you need to pay well. Okay, that's another place where we often fail. We are sometimes not comfortable paying well. Whenever you're hiring people, you have to see whether you're hiring in volumes or you're hiring in very small quantities. Okay, so if I'm hiring 3 people versus hiring 300 people, okay, when I'm hiring 2 people, 3 people, I don't have to be too worried about paying a higher salary. And always paying a higher salary will get you a better quality person. That goes without saying. Courage to pay more is again a secret of business success. You have to have the courage to pay more, courage to sacrifice. That is the risk of business. Will it guarantee results? Nobody can say. But if you have to succeed, you have to be like that.
Yeah, I think another way of thinking is how are the people, because this is a common problem not only for the medical industry, like a restaurant also is not able to get a chef and all these things. So how have the successful doctors, and I have gone into this and seen a lot of doctors who have scaled up. Recently, I spoke with one doctor from Hyderabad. So what he has done is a very interesting model where he says like, okay, if a doctor, because why does a doctor doesn't want to get employed? Because he is also having an entrepreneurial aspiration. So he says, okay, I will invest for you. So maybe 60% of the business is with me and 40% profits you can have. You become a partner rather than becoming an employee. So maybe think of those kind of ways. So basically just to give, so somebody, why will he move to a small town? So you give him an opportunity which is better than a salary. So you say, okay, I will give you this market salary and you are also going to be my partner in this venture. You take 40% of the profits. There is a doctor, there used to be Dr. P.L. Rao in Nellore. So he started almost 10 eye hospitals where the doctors became 50% partners. So it was a 50-50 partnership. He opened almost 10 hospitals and he solved that problem with the help of a different kind of a thinking. I think that is the mindset change we are trying to implement through the program. Rather than thinking like a regular doctor, how do you think like a businessman? Like think even the collaboration point that comes into that. So how do you collaborate with them? So there is a question from Dr. Vamsi. Sir, what is the end point of a failing business? Should we give up and start in a better way? Starting small, I think that is the first question. He is thinking, what is the end point of a failing business? Should we give up and start in a better way? I don't know, Dr. Vamsi, is it regarding any particular business or a clinic? Maybe if you can come online and ask, it will be interesting. And then what is the difference between starting small and starting big? End point of a failing business. Is it the business which fails or the businessman who fails? I don't think businesses fail. It's the businessman who fails most of the time. So businesses might mostly not fail. And maybe Dharam sir, you can give your feedback, views on this.
Yeah, so I
What
think
fact?
even if you see, this is, I don't think, see, whatever business we are in, whether it is medical practice, financial advisory, anything, there are success stories and there are failure stories. And like what Dr. Senthil says, the reason of the failure is also the person, the reason of success also is the person. Okay, India is a country which has vast opportunities, whether in any field. And I'll combine it with starting small and starting big. It's very important. When you say starting big means you need to have a broad, big vision and a big mission. And starting small means you have to start somewhere. Okay, and you need to sacrifice, as I said. You need to put in the capital, you need to put in the sacrifice, you need to give, you have to incentivize other people who are going to be with you. If like sometimes when we do businesses and at our end, we share 50-50. 50% is taken by an individual, and the balance 50% is shared by an entire company that has so much of expenses and so many people. But that is required because that 50-50 sharing will lead to a scale up. So it will be sharing with hundreds of people. And that's when the game changes altogether. So there are a lot of things which will make sense when you spend more time in discussion and mulling over it. So as I said, we are designing a program where we will engage more with you. These are sometimes things that which we are discussing is something you've never thought of. So within 2 hours to make you agree to a particular approach, it's next to impossible. It won't happen. But you have to mull over it, think about our journeys, our experiences that we have shared with you. And as you start aligning to this thought process, you'll ask more questions and you'll get more conviction in the session, in the messages that we have given, and you'll get more clarity about your business. Growth can only happen through scaling up. Only scaling up will give you free time to live a better life and to do things that you want to do and to achieve a lot more in your life than what you think you can.
Maybe Dr. Zakir, can you have you closed any business? Like, what are your failures? Because you've seen your success. Have you thought that this will not do well and you closed it when did you decide to close it? So I think you're on mute. You have to unmute, yeah.
Yeah, I have closed, I think around 2 or 3 businesses I had closed. One is, it's a cargo business, which means logistics business. And the other one is an automobile business. Both I ran for quite some few years, at least more than close to 10 years. But the logistics business also I was making money, but after some time, when I had to really, be out of the business completely, I was never working in it, but I was on it. But the thing is, it's being managed by some people who have, more knowledge of it, and then somehow the money is not coming in. They used to say, they have creditors, this and that. So a little bit of mismanagement was there. So I was thinking I would rather get rid of this headache and convert this business into something else. And then I diverted those boats into safari, boats, which is, cruising boats. And that is still running, and it is quite successful also. So in this one also, I'm not running by myself. I have just rented it, those boats. It's more of a passive income. And the other one is an automobile business where, it's like I invested in that business, but we were also looking after the finance side, not the operation side. But later, the guy who came into, that business is to do the operation side, where I was giving him 15%. But later he took a little bit side. And then ultimately we have to take over the operation side, which wasn't very, we didn't have the time to do that. And also it's a very much credit business, whereby, you cannot sell for 100% cash. You have to give on installments. So it became quite a big install. It's more like a finance business. So if you have a big capital, it gives good profit. But if you don't have enough capital, then it's not worth it. Because the margin of selling one vehicle, say for example, motorbike, is small. But when you sell it over a 36-month period, then you might even double the initial cost. So it's a very profitable business if you can do it with a sound. It's more like a finance business. But then I decided to close it because I needed more money for my another project, which was the resort business.
So yeah.
So obviously, yes, there are failures. You have to learn from the failures.
Next question is something online. So when you decide to start on logistic business or something which is totally unrelated to what we have been doing, so how do you do it? Is it like you get that person, or why do you decide to get into that different? Because there is also a question like, well, how do an ophthalmologist start a business in a restaurant, and how do I run a restaurant? So do you get the manpower and get into that business, or how do you go into the different line?
Yeah, so it's a good question. Yeah, obviously, we have no idea of head or tail. And also being a doctor, you cannot be seen, in places where you are not being expected to be seen.
Yeah.
In the sense, just out of respect for your profession. Yeah, it's more like investments. It's like somebody comes with a good proposal. You invest in this, I run the business, you get this much of money. It's more like that. But the thing is, I was lucky enough that the whole investment is in my name. Not a single share was given to the other guy because he did not put the money. So it's my investment, he runs it. But then the moment he deviates from what has been agreed, then obviously I'm not the master of it. So if I have to capture the entire thing, I start losing it. So that's how it has gone. So that business is more like an investor business.
Yeah.
Like you have shown that ESBI, you know. So there I was the I, not the business guy.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think if an ophthalmologist starts thinking to start a restaurant, the first point is he should get that person who runs a restaurant, who has that experience as one of his partners. That is the key. And whether that person is trustable and all these things. And I don't think running a restaurant is a good idea now with so much of competition and there's not much of innovation in that line. So whatever we start, I think I would advise people coming for ideas to do something innovative. It's not, why should we run a restaurant when we have all the knowledge of becoming a doctor? I think a restaurant is an execution business, manpower dependent. I think in future, whatever companies are coming up, I don't think companies which are dependent heavily on manpower, like businesses like a restaurant or the logistics, all these things will be very difficult to run in the due course. So hopefully there are one-person companies or a company with 5 people, 10 people, each of them delivering huge value would become the businesses of the future. And definitely, because one of my relatives runs a chain of restaurants in Chennai. So I used to have this idea to start a restaurant. He said, no, the first thing, please don't do a restaurant because this is the toughest business in the market now. Yeah. So any question, I want one of the audience to kind of unmute, and because we have been talking for 2 hours, if one of the audience can come forward and share your views, maybe we have another 2-3 minutes before we complete. One of you can unmute and please give your views. We have almost 70 people still online now.
I think what I understood with your discussion
Yes.
is that as a doctors, I think we can only do businesses which are related to medicine, because after spending many years in the field of medicine, we only understand the basics of medicines. And the business we can do is, I think, can only be associated with the field of medicine, apart from doing investment in real estate and other things.
Yeah. So that is like our core competency. So
Yeah.
tapping your core competency also is important.
Maybe a related business like, say, for an ophthalmologist, I think invest business like optical business or something related with those kind of, it can be like you said, you are doing teleophthalmology, that is also related to medicine. But for us, doing a business like restaurant business or doing something which is not related with medicine, I think is very difficult.
Yeah, we can do, but only thing we need to have that right partner. If we have a right partner, we can do. Getting that trustable person is a very big question mark. No, we cannot trust anybody. There is a common saying, you cannot trust anybody other than God. So only person you can trust is God. The rest of anybody, it is very difficult to trust anybody else. So once we get a right partner, then the collaboration definitely will help. So that is the...
But I think Dr. Kumaresh himself is a great example. Dr. Puneet Gupta, who he left his anesthesia practice completely and moved out into a different business. So one is, if you have a deep calling, then मेरे को restaurant करना ही है. So that is possible. No, there are some people whose parents may be having a restaurant, or whose family members will be having, or some who's got influenced by the business. Okay, so I feel that as an engineer, see, this is one problem I wanted to discuss about. See, the biggest problem with doctors is the DR that is in front of your name. Okay, it becomes like an anchor point. Okay, like
Yes.
I'm an engineer. Okay, but I worked as an engineer for a very short while. And today I've today I've completed into personal finance. Okay, with nothing to do with my engineering.
Sir, actually, what I have seen in my personal experience, most of the engineers they learn engineering in their IITs and engineering college, but they do most of them do something else. Most of the
Because we
doctors they
because we
do
don't
medicine more.
because nobody has called us a DR. If there was a doctor, there was a doctor attached to our name after engineering, perhaps we
Yes.
also would have got anchored to it. So I sometimes feel that doctor becomes an anchor point. It becomes very difficult to let it go. I think in today's world, the amount of change that is happening, whatever we study, where a doctor, like I did MBA in marketing, all the marketing I studied during those days, today it has zero value. Today it is all about digital world, digital marketing, ROI marketing. Those days we used to do all traditional marketing and advertising. So whatever I had studied has zero value today.
I think
So
the curriculum of medicine is so exhaustive and killing that it
uh,
kills the other aspect of your personality.
uh,
And when you find people like Dr. Senthil and you enter the field of opthel and you you start liking those things, and these are new things for us. Nobody has taught us marketing, finances during our curriculum, which is a very long, exhaustive curriculum. So that is why I think there is a difference between an engineer and a doctor.
the one is the number of years you study is more. Second is also the DR that is attached to your name. So these things do, but in today's world, I think you should have an open mind. If you have an inner calling to do some business, then you should do it. If the inner calling is not there, the first choice of business should be within your field only. So it could be a hospital, it could be a dispensary, it should be at least 7 doctors working with you, 8 doctors working with you, something like that.
Yeah,
Yes.
I think the first
Zagir is also best example of
Yeah.
outside the hospital. He has got chain of hospital, real estate. He has done logistics. He has got resorts. See,
Uh,
if you are
Senthil,
successful
I
in one business, then venture into many businesses because
basically,
okay, Senthil, I will just add something.
yes, sir, yes, please.
Since you said, it's difficult for doctors to enter into other business, which I do not believe. Okay. Now, I have done a very successful restaurant business, very successful. And why I say successful? From that one, from the profits generated, I have bought land, very expensive place. Okay. Right now, I'm not doing it. Again, it was running very well. But the thing, I had to stop it because I had a dispute that was again partly my mistake. I had a dispute with the landowner, with the building owner. He was my close friend. But the thing is, we had a small argument, and somehow the way how probably both of us dealt, he did not extend my contract. If not, it was a very good thing. I was never visible there. I was running the place using one of my brothers. I was giving him shares, giving him profit sharing, and it was running very well. So the thing here is, even though it's a doctor, you can do anything. It's very rightly what Dharmendra has told. It's your calling. You decide. You can do it. Okay, another thing what Mr. Dharmendra has told, yes, very, very true. Because we are doctors, it's not, I can do anything. But the thing is, the society doesn't expect. As the moment the society knows, oh, this guy is medical doctor, oh, he's doing logistics, he must be a greedy guy. This type of mentality is there.
Yeah.
So, but if you have thick skin and if you can face it, you can be in it. So what? I'm just still serving the community, helping in so many areas with other people. Just because I am DR does not mean that I cannot be in it. I cannot be in the no. Doctor, engineer, nothing. A doctor can be a politician. Doctor can be anything. No, there's nothing, no limiting factor. As long as you want to do it, everything is doable. 100% true.
Yeah. So basically, I think to summarize the whole session, first thing is to look at our own practice as a business, create value in it, become successful in your practice as a businessman, employing the business concepts and everything. Then once you have those business skills established, it is just replicating it in different businesses. So then you can go into other businesses. So maybe just after thinking about Dr. Zakir's resort in Maldives, so maybe if we are all interested, I think we can all go together and have this discussion in this resort in Maldives also. Maybe it would be more interesting to have Dharam sir and Kumaresh and all the other doctors who are interested to attend. Maybe we can plan a trip. I think it's interesting we can think on those lines also. And so thank you all for being, I think almost 2 hours went very fast. And thank you for being such a accommodative participating audience and on a Sunday evening. And I'm sure basically I don't want to promote our Aftal conference, but it's something on my mind. I have to be successful on that also. So basically, I'll request all of you to register. This time we are also having a lot of concepts for general medical practitioners also. So even if you are not an ophthalmologist, you can definitely attend our conference. Dr. Zakir is coming from Maldives, and we have got a few doctors from Sri Lanka. So our conference has now become international. We'll also have some doctors from Nepal coming in, and looking forward to meet all of you in Noida. And let us continue the discussion. And I will work out with Mr. Dharam sir about the course, and maybe we can launch it for all our members. And if you are successful, I think that is going to be success for us also. That's the way we think of collaboration, and we want all of us to succeed. And just like Dr. Kumaresh has aim to educate these 1 lakh doctors, my aim is to almost get into at least 1,000 entrepreneur ophthalmologists. We have already done 230 or something like that who have become started their own clinics after collaborating with us. I have a smaller target of 1,000 doctors initially, and then thank you everybody, and let us keep communicating in our group, and all the best. Thanks to Dharam sir and Kumaresh sir for being supportive, and thanks to Dr. Zakir. I think he also pitched in the last moment. And thank you everybody, and have a nice weekend. And hopefully we can all meet together once rather than in physical, rather than in the virtual platform. And all the best to keep growing and keep becoming successful. And there is a lot of population in India, a lot of money there for all of us to make. So only thing is change of mindset is important. And through Aftal, very happy to be helping so many doctors. And thank you, sir.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling us.
Thank you.
Thank you.